Good afternoon, friends. Today, I want to show you how to get started with fishing. I go fishing often, and I see a lot of adults make very common mistakes when they take kids fishing. See, fishing is infinitely scalable. There are ways that you can continue to make it harder and harder. You can chase more difficult species of fish. And I'll see dads take their kids fishing in places that are way beyond their skill level. It would be like me introducing weightlifting to somebody and handing them a barbell with 300 pounds on it and then just letting them tug and tug and tug until they're frustrated and then they quit. And I see that same equivalent with fishing. With kids, we're looking for a high success rate. You want to take them somewhere where they're going to catch something almost immediately. And usually it's going to be small, but they don't care. Kids don't care. They just want to see a fish caught. So in general, you're going to want to stay away from big rivers and lakes. And eventually it would be good to go and explore those places because that's where larger fish can be caught. But I would say for a beginner, a small pond that is loaded with fish is going to offer the highest chance for success. As a parent, the very first thing that you need to do is acquire an up-to-date 2020 fishing license. They cost like 20 bucks. You can get them online and it allows you to fish for an entire calendar year. So if you bought it right now, you would be able to fish until December 31st. This is what mine looks like. So you can just go online, you buy one. People who are under the age of 16 do not need a fishing license, but they need to be accompanied by an adult who has one. You don't want to get caught without a fishing license. It's an expensive fine. I don't recommend it. Today I'm fishing in this small little pond right next to Wells Fargo on C Street. I would recommend this place. It's pretty good. The fish in here are small. I come in here all the time and I catch bait for larger fish, but if I were to take somebody fishing for the very first time and I just wanted to explain the concepts and introduce them to the idea and wanted to get their rod bent a little bit, this is the place that I would take them because I'm almost positive that I'm going to catch something here. Equipment. Let me tell you what you need in order to get started fishing. Big mistake that I see a lot of people make when they're going out to try to buy fishing equipment is they buy things that are way too heavy. You want to match the power of your rod to the size of fish that you're trying to catch. So rods come in different sizes. There are ultralights, lights, mediums, and then heavies. You will want, for a spot like this, you will want a rod that is ultralight. They're usually small, they're flimsy, it's easy to feel fish bite on the hook, and when you hook into anything, it feels big because it's kind of wiggly and it lets the fish fight. It gives the fish a fighting chance, which makes catching even small fish a lot of fun. So for a kid who you're going to take to small ponds like this, I would definitely recommend going with the ultralight. They come in different lengths. This one is 6 feet. I would recommend either going with a 5-6 rod or a 6-foot rod for a kid. Otherwise, they're going to break it. When you carry it, always carry it with the tip up. If you carry it with the tip down, you're going to break it. Ah! Now we're going to talk about the reel. This is the most important part of the fishing setup for sure. I would definitely not recommend going cheap on the reel. I would get the nicest one that you can afford. Line comes in different strengths. It goes all the way from 1 pound to like, I don't even know, like hundreds of pounds. But we don't need hundreds of pounds because we're only fishing for small fish. So I would recommend either going with 2 or 4 pound line. And if you go and buy from a good sporting goods store like Fin and Feather in Iowa City, they will even put the line on the reel for you, which is a huge pain. And if you can get someone to do it for you, they make machines that do that. I would definitely recommend that. Mine has 4 pound line on there, and the reason I do that is because it gives me better sensitivity and it gives the fish a fighting chance. So 2 to 4 pound line on an ultralight rod is gonna be a lot of fun no matter what size of fish you're catching. There are different kinds of reels. There are button release reels, which I don't recommend. And then there are open face reels like this one. The open face reels are at first more complicated, but if you go somewhere and you see people fishing who are actually catching stuff, 9 times out of 10, they're using an open face reel. Contrary to what you might believe, you do not need a lot of tackle in order to fish successfully. I can fit everything that I need to go into this pond into this tiny little box. I can fit this thing in my pocket. With fishing, less is always going to be more. I would always just travel light, take what you need. For hooks, I would recommend something small with a large shank. What tends to happen with kids when they fish is they'll let the fish take the bait for too long and the fish will swallow the hook. And if you have a longer shank, so that's this part, you have a longer shank on the hook, it's a little bit easier to get it back out. But you got to be prepared for that. Kids will fish and they'll let the fish take the bait for too long and then they swallow it and it's a mess, which is why I would also recommend always carrying a pair of pliers with you, especially when you're taking kids out fishing. If I were to take kids fishing, at first I would put them on a float. I would have a float attached to their line. This is going to work as a bite indicator, so they're going to be able to see when a fish bites their line, and then it's also going to suspend their bait in one place. It's going to keep their bait where the fish are, which is a good thing. So I went and found one worm in my garden, and that's going to be enough, because we're going to end up breaking these into small tiny pieces. If you're squeamish and don't like to get dirty, or you don't like to get your hands in the mud, so to speak, then I would recommend bringing a small pair of scissors, just like a pair of kindergarten scissors. You can chop the worm up really easy like that, because we're only using these tiny little hooks and you want your bait to be relatively exposed. As a parent, you are going to need to learn how to tie a simple fisherman's knot, and I'm not going to put a tutorial in right here because there are probably already YouTube videos that have done a much better job than I can. And voila, I'm tied on. The float goes on like this. I'm just going to take this spring, I'm going to pull it all the way down so that it opens the gate up. I'll put it on, wrapping it once, twice, and now my float's on. So now we get to the best part. I'm going to take my float and I'm going to put it about 2 feet above my hook and my worm, and I'm only going to use, gosh, about a ½ inch of worm, not much at all. And I'm just going to do a short pitch. Distance is not a factor. Like, it does not need to be out there very far. It just needs to get out there. And then I sit and watch. Okay, so when the float moves, I'm gonna do what's called setting the hook. And what that does is it takes that hook and it pulls it up into the roof of that fish's mouth, and it keeps it from swallowing it. It allows me to practice catch and release. There we go. Got him. And it's just a small little lift of the tip of the rod, and that drives the hook into the roof of that fish's mouth and keeps it from swallowing it, which is what allows me to release this fish unharmed. So I can just put him back in the water and he'll swim away and do his thing, and then I get to do it again. Like I say, they're not big, but it's going to give you an opportunity to practice setting the hook, which is something that is super important to fishing if you want to have good hookups on more prestigious fish. There we go, I got him. And you see, that's a good, you know, it's a good hook set if you see a lot of the shank of your hook. So I know that these fish are going to be able to be returned safely. There you go, friends. People are down here enjoying the fish. I knew it was a good spot. Get out here and try it.